It's all systems go for the granular lockdowns, the new alert level starting tomorrow. Stay tuned as we give you the lowdown of everything you need to know with this new system. 100 public schools and 20 private schools are set to take part in the pilot test of limited face-to-face classes. And let's take a look at the big winners of this year's MTV Video Music Awards. Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I'm Charles Lejano. With no end in sight for the current surge in cases, the government now pins its hopes on a new kind of system to help curb the spread of the coronavirus. Mobile journalist Pamela Vasquez gives us a front seat as to how pilot testing of granular lockdowns in Metro Manila will look like.
After a year and a half of on and off nationwide lockdowns, the country's COVID-19 task force has decided it's time to change strategy. From September 16, Metro Manila will be the testing ground for just two classifications, ECQ and GCQ with 4 alert levels. There are key differences. The task force says it will reserve ECQ only for worst-case scenarios.
As much as possible, we will avoid the severe hard lockdown.
The other difference is, of course, the alert system, which officials says will be similar to typhoon warnings. That system is based on what they call the 3 Cs.
Number 1, it is the closed space. These are the restaurants, the gyms. Number 2, the crowded areas, the religious masses, the concerts, etc. And number 3, the close contact, the sports, personal care, spa, etc.
The new system shifts the burden to the LGUs, who will be in charge of enforcing the quarantine. These granular lockdowns will last 14 days and can be imposed on an area with no prior announcements. The LGUs are also in charge of distributing food packs to affected areas.
Mas alam ng ating mga pinunong lokal ang mas angkop at mas epektibong hakbang para sa kanilang mga nasasakupan.
Many in the task force have voiced their support for bakuna bubbles, wherein vaccinated residents are allowed to move freely and enter establishments like restaurants.
With a high percentage of vaccination, it's about time to really give some additional privilege to the vaccinated and also to encourage people to get vaccinated.
Secretary Galvez says the plan is to distribute more vaccines to the regions so they can eventually expand the new classification system. The trial period for the new system will run in NCR from September 16 to 30. I'm Pamela Vasquez and we are One News.
Let's now take a closer look at the guidelines released by the IATF for the pilot implementation of alert level systems. Here are the general guidelines for this new lockdown system. First, the health department will identify the alert level of the pilot area. Regardless of vaccination status and negative swab test results, close contacts of confirmed cases shall undergo a 14-day quarantine. LGUs in pilot areas shall submit on a daily basis the respective regional IATF based on a template provided by the national government. At all times, minimum public health standards shall still be observed. And here's how the health department will classify areas under the various alert levels. Transmission rates, case counts, as well as bed and ICU utilization rates will be taken into account. Areas with the most alarming figures will be placed at alert level 5, while areas with the least critical numbers will be at alert level 1. Areas under alert level 5 shall observe the same guidelines applicable to areas under ECQ. Only essential services will be allowed to operate, while only APORs shall be allowed outside. Under alert level 4, the movement of persons below 18 and above 65 and those with comorbidity shall be restricted. Individual outdoor exercises will be allowed for all ages within their general area of their residence. High-risk activities like tourist attractions and cinemas will not be allowed to operate. Meanwhile, outdoor or al fresco dining and personal services will be allowed at 30% capacity. Now the guidelines for areas under alert level 3 are flashed on your screens. These are the same guidelines for areas under alert level 2, except high transmission activities will be allowed at 50% capacity. And for areas under alert level 1, all establishments, except those under lockdown, will be allowed full operations. The health department reported over 20,700 new COVID-19 infections on Monday. This has brought our total caseload to 2,240,000, some 180,200 of which are still active. 163 more COVID-related deaths were confirmed overnight, pushing the death toll to 35,300. 60 cases that were previously tagged as recovered have since been reclassified as deaths. While total recoveries are now at 2,032,000, with 22,200 new survivors logged yesterday. In other news, a teachers group says not much has changed since last year as public school students nationwide entered into their second year under the blended learning system. Marian Enriquez tells us why.
Class 3. Classify the following.
Grade 6 student JM started his first day of class online and logged in at 9 a.m. But instead of a 2-hour online class with his teacher, he ended up just answering his modules.
Yung lagi pong naglalag, sinasabi na lang po namin na limbawa po na choppy, ganun. Tapos sinasabi niya, sige po, ipopost na lang po namin sa Google.
His dad, Jeff, admits struggling to juggle work and teaching his son at the same time.
May tanong siya, hindi naman namin masagot. Dalawa nga nung siyempre busy rin kami doon sa ginagawa namin.
Challenges like this pushed some teachers to call for the reopening of limited face-to-face classes. The Alliance of Concerned Teachers protested against the government's apparent lack of plan for the safe reopening of schools. Like health workers, they also want their benefits like overtime pay and internet allowance released.
Sana sa loob ng isang taon na school year nakita na namin kung paano hinahanda yung mga paaralan natin.
Despite the challenges, the Education Department claims last school year had been a victory. DepEd says about 98.13% or over 2 million grade 6 learners were able to finish their studies, while 96.9% or over 1.88 million grade 10 learners were able to graduate. And as of September 13, around 24.6 million students have enrolled for school year 2021 to 2022. DepEd is hoping this number will still go up and reach last year's 26.2 million.
Today, we are opening the school year 2021-2022 as we celebrate last year's victory. The challenges that we are facing now are even tougher than those we battled last year.
Briones insists a return to face-to-face classes require careful consideration. Palace says President Duterte reacted positively to the proposed pilot face-to-face classes in low COVID risk areas. A final decision from him is pending. For News 5, Marian Enriquez, we are One News.
Meanwhile, the Education Department said that 100 public schools, 20 private schools will be included in their pilot testing for face-to-face classes. In an interview with 1PHS sa Totoo Lang, DepEd Secretary Liling Briones said that the approval of their pilot run will still depend on certain conditions. These include obtaining permission from the respective LGUs where the schools belong, as well as the written consent of the parents. That's on top of checking whether the school has enough facilities to allow for proper physical distancing and the installation of health stations. Briones added that some NCR schools may also be included in the pilot testing of face-to-face classes if they pass the department's assessment.
Yung sa NCR kasi granular yung lockdown nila eh. So there are places in NCR na pwedeng magawa yan. May checklist kami dyan kung magka-comply sila sa ating mga requirements. Pero there are also places in NCR na nag-decide ang local government o nag-assess ang ating IATF na hindi safe na lalabas ang mga bata at mga elderly, ay tayo naman ay susunod. So it will not be uniform for all NCR schools and for all NCR learners. Nasa IATF yan, sa health, at saka sa aming standards din.
The MTV VMAs returned to the stage after last year's socially distanced show proved to be a big night for Olivia Rodrigo, Justin Bieber, and BTS, among others. Here's the report.
Please welcome Madonna.
Contemporary meets classic. In this year's MTV Video Music Awards, Madonna opened the ceremonies before thousands of masked fans. Her surprise appearance marked MTV's 40th anniversary, as well as her 40th year in the industry.
And they said we wouldn't last. But we are still here, Mother.
Cyndi Lauper also came unexpected and gave a strong message.
Yeah, girls still want to have fun. But we also want to have funds, equal pay, control over our bodies.
The night's big winner was Lil Nas X. He bagged multiple awards, including the coveted Video of the Year for Montero, Call Me By Your Name.
Let's go get agenda!
Justin Bieber won Artist of the Year and Best Pop for Peaches, marking his comeback to the VMA stage after 6 years. Olivia Rodrigo was hailed Best New Artist and took home Song of the Year for Driver's License.
I want to dedicate this award to all of the other girls who write songs on their bedroom floor.
We are BTS.
BTS, meanwhile, won Group of the Year.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Foo Fighters were also the recipient of this year's Global Icon Award. Nick Garcia, We Are One News.
Been a band for 26 years, so...
Here are the stories to watch out for later today. The Senate Blue Ribbon Committee is urging the Justice Department and the Bureau of Immigration to issue a watch list order against former presidential economic advisor Michael Yang. The Education Department is set to defend its proposed 2022 budget before the lower house. And the Bureau of Quarantine is officially opening a new satellite office in Quezon City to accommodate the increasing number of fully vaccinated individuals who are requesting yellow cards or international certificates of vaccination. And that's how the day is shaping up to be. Join us again later at 10 a.m. as we monitor the day's biggest stories from sunrise to sundown. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Just register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.